Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about how a huge business system, something like SAP, can juggle millions of different transactions every single day without completely falling apart? Well, the secret isn't some big, complex master plan. Nope, it's actually hidden in the tiny details. Today, we're going to decode one of the most powerful and often overlooked pieces of that DNA, the item category. All right, let's make this real. Picture yourself shopping online. You toss a new laptop in your cart. That's a physical thing. Then you add on an extended warranty. That's a service, right? And hey, there's a promo, so you get a free wireless mouse. Awesome. So to you, it's just three things in your cart. But to the company's back-end system, these are three totally different beasts that have to be handled in completely different ways. And that really gets to the heart of it. How in the world does the system know that the laptop needs to get sent to a warehouse, put in a box, and shipped out, but the warranty doesn't? How does it know not to charge you a dime for the mouse, but still make sure its cost is tracked? What's the invisible logic making all these calls behind the scenes? Well, the answer is a tiny but incredibly powerful setting called the item category. The best way to think of it is as the hidden DNA for every single item on a sales order. It's just a simple code, but it carries a whole set of instructions that tells the rest of the company exactly how to handle that item, how to price it, if it can be shipped, and when you're allowed to bill for it. Here's a great analogy for you: the envelope and its contents. The sales order itself, your whole purchase, that's the envelope. It holds all the general stuff, like your name and address. But the item category, that controls the contents. It defines the unique behavior of every single thing inside that envelope. So if this little piece of DNA is so critical, how does the system pick the right one? It's not just a guess. It actually has a very specific, almost clever process, kind of like a sorting hat, making sure every single item gets put in the right house with the right set of rules. The system basically asks itself four questions to figure this out. First, it looks at the sales document type. Is this a real order or is it just a quote? Second, it checks the item category group on the product itself. Is this a standard physical good or is it a service? Third, it considers the item usage. Is there a special flag here, like free? And last, it asks, is this part of something bigger? Is it a component in a kit? By combining the answers to these four questions, it zeroes in on the exact item category it needs every single time. Okay, so the system finds the right item category. Now what? What does it actually do? Well, inside there are dozens of different controls, but we're going to focus on three of the most powerful levers that pretty much dictate 90% of how that item travels through the entire business. First up, you've got the logistics lever. It's a simple little checkbox called Schedule Line Allowed. If this box is checked, the system knows, aha, this is a physical thing that needs a delivery schedule, warehouse space, maybe a truck. But if it's unchecked, like for our warranty, the entire logistics process for that one item just gets switched off. It's basically the bouncer at the warehouse store. Next is the risk lever. This one's called Credit Active. When this box is checked, the value of that item counts against the customer's credit limit. So that $1,000 laptop, yep, that's definitely raising their credit exposure. But for our free mouse, that box is unchecked. The system sees there's no financial risk, so it doesn't even bother hitting their credit. It's how a company protects itself from risk, one line item at a time. And the third lever is all about the money, the bottom line, profitability. The determined cost setting tells the system, hey, go look up how much this thing actually costs us to buy or make. And that's absolutely critical for the most fundamental formula in all of business. Price minus cost equals your margin. If you're not tracking cost, you're flying blind on profit. Which leads to a really important business question. Let's think about that free mouse again. Its price is zero, right? But it still costs the company money. Now, what happens if that determined cost box is unchecked for that freebie? Well, your financial reports will show zero revenue and zero cost. It completely hides the true expense of that marketing promotion and makes your profitability reports just wrong. Now, beyond those three main levers, there's one field that our source material calls the single most critical setting for the entire financial cycle. It's a control that determines when and even if the company ever gets paid. This little gem is called billing relevance. It's basically a code that tells the system what specific event has to happen before an invoice can be created. For a standard product, you can only bill for it after it's been delivered. Makes sense. For a service, which never gets delivered, you bill based on the order itself. And for something like a subscription, you bill based on a predefined schedule. This one setting orchestrates a company's entire cash flow. You can imagine getting this wrong causes massive problems. A super common complaint you'll hear is, hey, our service revenue is missing from our reports. And so often the culprit is this. Someone accidentally set the billing relevance for a service to bill after delivery. Since a service can never be delivered, the system just waits, and that invoice never ever gets created.
And that brings us to maybe the biggest takeaway from all of this. These settings, they don't exist in a bubble. Changing one tiny checkbox, just one little setting in the item category, can send huge ripples across the entire organization.
I mean, just look at this chain reaction. It all starts with one wrong setting. That one change blocks a delivery in the warehouse. Because that delivery is blocked, the finance department can't generate an invoice. And because the invoice never gets created, the company's final revenue reports are completely off. One tiny checkbox created a tidal wave of failures, and it all traces back to that one piece of DNA. As our source material puts it so perfectly, one checkbox can stop a truck at the gate or halt an invoice worth millions. That just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the immense hidden power of getting these small details right. The whole complicated machine of modern business often balances on these simple, elegant little controls. So the next time you click Place Order on a website, take a second to think about all the invisible logic firing off behind the scenes. Now that you've seen this hidden DNA in action, it really makes you wonder, right? What other simple business rules out there are actually being powered by some incredibly complex and fascinating logic hiding just beneath the surface?